A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at your headlines this evening.
Law enforcement under threat. 3 incidents of assault reported. Mastermind behind the smuggling of 2 large hauls of heroin seeds in Orogodawatta and Katugastota arrested. Drought hit people face fresh dilemma. Several election campaign officers in Uber attacked. Sri Lankan women win the plate championship at the Hong Kong Sevens. Men's team finishes 4th.
And now for the stories in detail. 6 police officers have been injured in 3 separate incidents of assault reported from Urubokka, Kandy and Kitulgala.
A Sri Lanka Air Force veteran who allegedly assaulted 2 police officers in the Urubokka town as they were examining a motorcycle has been arrested. Both police officers who were injured in the attack last night are being treated at the Megoda Hospital in Urubokka. Investigations are underway to apprehend another suspect in the assaults. 2 police officers were attacked when they attempted to accost a vehicle when the driver violated traffic rules near the Municipal Council junction in Kandy. Both officers are being treated at the Kandy General Hospital. The police media spokesperson's office says that 1 suspect has been arrested in connection with the incident. 2 police officers who attempted to apprehend a Navy deserter were assaulted in Kitulgala. The police say that the deserter had fled the area following the attack and that the police had arrested a man suspected of aiding and abetting the deserter. Both police officers who sustained injuries in the assault have been admitted to the Karavanala Base Hospital. Investigations are underway to apprehend the wanted Navy deserter. 2 officers attached to the Traffic Police Division of Headquarters Police in Trincomalee have been admitted to the Trincomalee General Hospital after meeting with an accident while on duty. A hospital spokesperson noted that one of the officers is being treated in the intensive care unit while the other is being treated at the accident ward. Now, the 2 police officers had met with the accident while travelling to the 4th Mile Post Junction in Trincomalee on police duty. The motorcycle they had been riding had collided with a refrigerator truck and then fallen onto the road. The 2 police officers were then run over by an SLTV bus plying from Ampara to Trincomalee. The accident had occurred opposite the Andamankulam Navy Camp in Trincomalee. The chief suspect in the recent discoveries of large hauls of heroin in Orogodawatta and Katugastota has been arrested. The Pakistani national suspected of smuggling in the heroin was arrested by the police anti-narcotics bureau. The police say that the suspect had arrived in Sri Lanka last night from Karachi in Pakistan. He was arrested at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayaka. The police had uncovered information that the suspect had taken up residence in Sidua, from where he carried out the drug smuggling racket. The police say the suspect is being interrogated on detention orders. On the 21st of July, customs officials seized 93 kilograms of heroin which had been concealed in a container at the customs container yard in Orogodawatta, while on the 14th of this month, a haul of 59 kilograms of heroin was seized in Katugastota.
Also in local news, a number of propaganda officers of opposition candidates have been attacked in the Monoragala district last night. Rajitha Vijaytunga from the Newsfirst Election Bureau has more details on this story.
The attack was carried out on UNP, JVP and the Democratic Party officers. UNP organizer of Bibila stated that 13 officers have been damaged last night alone.
Here are a few United National Party officers that were attacked last night.
Thirteen officers of the UNP were destroyed last night by a group that came in a pickup truck and a defender. The caretaker of the office was threatened by the group using a T-56 firearm, and he was told not to engage in political activities with the UNP.
Here are a few JVP officers that were destroyed last night.
A Democratic Party office in Dodangola was also attacked last night.
I heard a noise at around 3:10 in the morning, and when I came out, I saw my hoardings being destroyed. When I told them not to, a person wearing a yellow t-shirt threatened to kill me, pointing a T-56 firearm. Therefore, we request the government to provide us with security.
Our correspondent stated that propaganda officers of the opposition in Hapola, Kotagama, Mudiala, Nagala and Yalkumbura areas in the Monragala district were damaged by a group of people.
Up next is a look at the battle for Uber.
They know that come the 21st, they will be defeated. At present, they are attempting to mitigate their defeat. The United National Party is putting forward candidates, but there is no chief ministerial candidate or even a group leader at the very least.
Members of the alliance have started coming over to the UNP. I believe the UNP will be victorious. It is the beginning of a victorious journey. We can embark on this journey from Monragala, Badulla and Uva Vallassa.
The UNP commenced like the gas that is let out when you open a bottle of soda. Some people said they would bring a new bride. We too waited to see who the bride was. It was Harim Fernando. He is not new. He is a bride who has children. After the 20th, MP Harim Fernando will come to see us and will ask to go to Temple Trees. He will have to be given some sort of position at least in Vattala via Temple Trees.
Whenever Minister Dilan Pereira sees the mic of a TV channel, he slings mud at Harim Fernando. Harim Fernando is the biggest challenge facing this government. My engine works better than Dilan Pereira's.
When Harin came out, everyone thought the UNPers were getting into the game, and that since this worked, when Dayasri did it, it would work again. Dayasri won after coming to our side. They can win from our side, but not from the other side.
We don't have a bus and we are walking until our feet begin to blister, and then we salute them. They do not understand the problems here.
අපේ පැරණිගේ වචනයක් තියෙනවා ඉල්ලාගෙන කාපු දීකිරිචයක් නැතුව ගියා කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ වතුර ලැබිච්ච එක චූටි වැස්සක් නිසා දැන් ඒ වතුරට නැතුව ගියා.
The supply of water to some droughted areas employing bowsers has come to a stop as a result of scattered showers experienced in these areas. Now, residents of these areas note that the showers had no significant impact on irrigation systems in drought-hit areas.
The people of Polonnaru are facing a catch-22 situation since both the rains and the water bowsers have stopped. The brief happiness that was brought by the rain has now been shadowed by the cloud of a fresh dilemma. These reservoirs and wells do not even show signs that rains fell here only a few days ago.
There wasn't enough rain. I do not think there was enough rain to even soak a foot of land. Following the rains, the water in the wells reduced.
Every residents say the supplies of dry rations and water that they have received during the drought have stopped following the minor showers. Since there was rain and they said there is no more drought, we do not even get that water anymore. They brought bowsers and set up tanks everywhere. All we can say is that there are plenty of tanks but no water.
Florin Rajendran joins us now with a weather report.
A very good evening and welcome to Weather First. The highest rainfall of 40 millimeters in the past 24 hours was reported in the Gampar district, while the highest temperature of 33.6 degrees Celsius was reported in the Polonnaru districts. Accidents were reported in several parts of the island owing to the heavy rains and windy weather conditions.
A raft was involved in an accident near the accessway to the Hammantara fisheries port. The fisherman on board the boat was rescued by a motorboat.
The Agaliya Kuttiyawat and Agaliya Mulkada areas in Galle were inundated following heavy showers experienced yesterday.
Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. The Met Department forecasts that the southwestern parts of the island, which received heavy rains in the past several days, will not receive much rain in the next 24 hours. Scattered thunder showers could be experienced in the Uva and eastern provinces. Now, the sea areas off the coast from Mana to Jaffna and Hambantota via Portugal may be rough, with wind speeds reaching up to 50 kilometers per hour. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for the rest of the towns and cities.
JVP leader Kumar Dissanayake says the failure to grant relief to the people is causing a collapse in economic activity. He made this statement at a propaganda rally held in Badulla yesterday.
When you go to the fort and Peta, you can see that wholesale outlets are full of potatoes. You cannot prevent the price of potatoes falling from 40 to 35 rupees within a week or two. What they have done here is that they have destroyed the crop completely. Indian potatoes are cheaper than potatoes from Valimada. Why? Because in India, relief is given for the farmers. So we ask you if you are going to continue voting for this government. Consider a kilogram of milk powder. Are you paying more for the milk powder or more in tax? The tax on 425 grams of milk powder is 475 rupees. Although we think that it's milk, we are feeding them tax. These leaders must be ashamed. Is this how you govern a country? By taxing milk powder? We call on the UNP supporters too to change party now. I heard Shashinda Rajapaksa saying that he is spending on two people's campaigns. I am sure that both of them will go together.
We received this report on 115 families who have been drinking water mixed with limestone for 16 years in Atulgama, Ampitya. This village received pipe water in 1998 under the Randiyadahara Community Water Scheme. However, since the water tank has been constructed over a large limestone deposit, these people have been unable to make proper use of the water scheme. Even the springs that supply water to this tank are located between limestone deposits.
The Alutkama project supplies water to 4 divisions. There are 4 springs and all 4 have limestone deposits underneath. All the springs have water mixed with limestone. We drink the water without filtering it. This is the water we give our children to drink.
Water schemes initiated by the central government, the Central Provincial Council and the Ampitya Pradesh Sabha have also not served the desired purpose.
We release water twice a week. We cannot release water on the other days because this water is used for 48 acres of paddy land.
We rely on rainwater, and when there is no rain, we have to travel at least a mile to fetch water. Sometimes we are forced to go a week without bathing because there is no water.
There is no filtration system at all. It is limestone water. This is the main tank and the water is pumped from here to the upper tanks and then filtered and distributed to the people. If there is rain, it is difficult to get water from here because it becomes muddy.
Newsfirst inquired into the health impact of consuming such water over an extensive period. Doctors know that consuming water tainted with calcium carbonate or limestone over an extended period can cause dental problems. In business news this evening, farmers who engage in rubber cultivation request for the minimum price of 350 rupees for a kilogram of rubber they produce.
A group of small rubber estate owners, rubber sheet producers and raw rubber producers brought forward this demand while engaging in a protest at the Ingiriya city centre.
This is the wet zone. Rubber sap is collected during this season only on 150 days. So our annual income depends solely on what we do on these 150 days. If there is sufficient rubber sap, we can live without any issue. Rubber cultivators are faced with a situation where they will be forced to let go of their trade. Persons who used to be committed to this trade are now employed elsewhere in other fields.
Thereafter, Kalutara district parliamentarian Vidura Vikramanayaka arrived at the location and engaged in a discussion with the protesters.
මේ පිළිබඳව අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාව අපි දැනුවත් කළා.
We have informed the President in this regard. He promised that a sustainable program will be implemented for this. What we request is that for the rubber price to be raised to 300 rupees.
ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
Up next is a look at our special segment at Better Tomorrow.
The Anuradhapura Sacred City Development Project is currently underway under the instructions of the Secretary of Defence and Urban Development Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The project will provide facilities and sanitation for pilgrims visiting the sacred city and foreign and local tourists too. The construction of horticultural shops and other services has already commenced near the car park at the historic Ruan Valley Saya.
පූජානගරයේ කැණීම් කටයුතු වලට සහ පූජානගර
A program is underway to remove unauthorized construction that hamper archaeological digs and other activities in the sacred city. The UDA has constructed homes for 11 families in the Katukeliyawa area and we have settled them there.
The project to renovate the Pumichan Kulama Reservoir in Anuradhapura is also underway parallel to this.
Speaking at an event held in Kandy yesterday, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Keheli Rambukwala remarked on Sri Lanka's recent donation of $1 million in aid for Palestine. Now, at a media briefing convened today, the Democratic Party group leader in the Western Provincial Council, Susil Kindelpitiya, responded.
We are a middle-income country. Although the opposition tries to portray us as a nation of beggars, this is not the reality at the grassroots level. Development endeavors in the country are moving forward with intent. I won't say there are no shortcomings. You can never initiate a project without there being shortcomings. In our foreign policy, we are very sensitive towards Palestine. And at a time when the entire global community is making commitments and supporting them in their time of trouble, I believe it is just for us to give what we can.
ඒ සාධාරණිය අපිට කරන්නට පුළුවන් කියලා.
අපි දන්නවා අපි ලෝකෙට ණය වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
We know that we are in debt to the world. We are being trampled by debt. We take loans at high interest rates. Parliament's approval has not been sought for this expenditure. Whose money are they giving away? These are public funds. Who pays tax for this? The people. Who pays the interest on the loans they obtain? The people. We have no problems with Palestine. It is not a problem to do. It is not a problem to do with helping the people of Palestine, but we need to think about the situation in our own country.
Minister Janaka Bandara Thenakon says that society at present needs leaders who solve the problems of the people and who do not babble. He made this statement at an event held in Galewala yesterday.
The renovation of the Nelum Kulavawa in Madabadda, Galewala commenced yesterday under the auspices of Minister Janaka Bandara Thenakon. A sum of 1.8 million rupees has been allocated for this project.
When the drought came, we could see that there was no preparation to face the drought. We must work to repair these tanks and renovate them and ensure that we are prepared the next time there is a drought. As politicians, instead of speaking insane babble, we must go among the people and resolve the problems of the people. That is what the country needs now.
Up next is a special segment, Is It Solved?, where we revisit stories on problems faced by the public previously covered by Newsfirst to inquire into whether these matters have been captured the attention of the relevant authorities.
On the 9th of August, Newsfirst reported on the risk faced by villagers in Agalavatta as a result of a rock slide in the upper reserve area which borders the Kiragala estate in Bopatalla. The Divisional Secretary has already taken steps to deploy officials to make the necessary plans to have the rocks removed. On the 11th of July, Newsfirst reported on the archaeological destruction that has been caused by unauthorized farming on land belonging to the Agbopura Rajama Viharya in Giritale, Polonnarua. This issue has failed to capture the attention of officials from the Department of Archaeology as yet.
A father has murdered his own infant daughter in the Magalkanda area in Beruala by dashing her against a rock. The murdered infant was a 1.5-year-old girl from Babulahena, Magalkanda in Beruala. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana says the 29-year-old father who had taken the girl to a rock face in the area had dashed her against the rock has been arrested. Dhananjay Hettiarachchi, who became the 2014 World Champion of Public Speaking at the 83rd Annual International Convention held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, arrived in the island today. Newsfirst caught up with him earlier in the day.
Sri Lankan flags were seen flying high in the air at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre yesterday as Dhananjay Hettiarachchi was crowned the Best Speaker of the Year. Dhananjay, a trainer and a speaker, changed the course of history as he became the first Asian to win the World Championship of Public Speaking in the 75-year-long history of Toastmasters. Dhananjay received a warm welcome in Colombo today.
33,000 people compete across 105 countries, and this is the first time in the history of the contest that an individual from Asia who doesn't speak English as a first language has gone and won this contest. So it's a massive opportunity for all of Asia. So after 10 years of learning and failing, the main thing that I learned is you got to keep coming for the championship. So this year when I came, I had all the ingredients with me to win this championship this year.
Taking a look at sports news now, the Sri Lanka women's rugby team succeeded in winning the plate championship at the Hong Kong Rugby Sevens today. The men's team were placed 4th.
The Hong Kong Sevens is the first stage in the Asian Sevens Rugby Championship. The Tuskers came up against the powerful Japanese in the 3rd place match in the men's tournament. In spite of a spirited fight, the Lankans were defeated 42-12. Dinusha Chaturanga scored 2 tries for Sri Lanka. Host Hong Kong won the cup, defeating final opponents South Korea 14-0. Hong Kong are ranked first in the Asian Sevens rankings, followed by South Korea, Japan and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's women came up against Thailand in the plate final today. The Lankan women performed well to snatch victory from their Thai counterparts, winning 19-14. Sri Lanka's Tanuja Dilbukshi scored 2 of Sri Lanka's 3 tries, 2 of which were converted.
Up next is Sports First investigative journalism segment, The Bitter Truth.
The Valala A. Ratnayaka Central College Sports School is the only sports school in the country that is administered under Provincial Council. While the school has won the overall championship at the All Island Schools Athletic Championships, the John Talbot Junior Championships and the National Relay on 68 occasions, athletes from the school have won a total of 42 medals in the international arena. However, sports authorities are yet to focus their attention on improving facilities at this model sports school where 98 athletes are boarded. While the fact that athletes who are boarded here face food shortages from time to time highlights the gravity of the problem. Notices put up on the hostel notice board show that at times these promising athletes only receive dal and rice for their meals.
Almost 70% of the children in this school come from families with no proper employment. They don't receive the milk in the morning. When you take their income into account, that is not enough for them to have a good meal. They are faced with a situation where they cannot even add spices to their meals. The children eat what is given because they have no other choice. They visit their homes once a week to have a good meal. They cannot do it all the time.
A sum of 2,500 rupees is given per child at the Valala A. Ratnayaka Central College Sports School as a food allowance, and only 15 rupees from that can be allocated per meal. The reason is because a portion from that 2,500 rupees is to be separated for electricity, water and other expenses at the hostel. However, the Director of Sports for the Central Province, Atula Jayawardena, has emphasized that the allocation of money from the food allowance for other expenses has to be looked into separately. When Sports first made inquiries over this, he added that the food allowance will be increased in the future and more food will be provided during sporting events. Can this issue be solved by merely increasing the food allowance?
The foundation of sports is nutrition and technique. Because they are small children, no matter how talented they are, if they do not receive proper nutrition during the growing age, they will not see proper growth. Therefore, the opportunity of reaching high levels will be lost.
ජාත්‍යන්තර මට්ටමට යන්න හැකියාව නැති වෙනවා.
By spending millions of rupees, the objective of the Ministry of Sports is to create sports complexes at provincial and district level for the betterment of sports. However, before that, isn't it necessary to satisfy the hunger of sportsmen and women who can achieve victory by raising their food allowance by at least 5,000 rupees? Open for debate.
Hundreds of thousands of devotees from across the world arrived at the Nallur Kovil today to witness the historic chariot festival. We wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News with some visuals captured by our Newsfirst cameras at the venue. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudarnayaka. Good night.
முருகா போற்றி ஓம் ஒருவனாய் உலகெல்லாம் ஒளிர்வாய் போற்றி
கந்தா கடம்பா கதிர்வேலவனே சரணாகதியே சிக்கல்பதியே சர்வேஸ்வரனே சுரபூபதியே உமையவள் மகனே கருணாகரனே கிருபாநிதியே சேனாபதியே
Hotline 0114-896-896 www.newsfirst.lk Feedback at newsfirst.lk